Nah, let me stop playing. But what's going on, people? Welcome back to the Kicking It Dolo podcast. Um, Not the type of weekend I really expected as far as like sports were transpired. As far as like the football games, yeah, we had a couple of big NBA trades, so it's good to throw some NBA things in the mix. But this weekend, I really thought as collectively as a whole that the games that transpired throughout the weekend were going to be more competitive than they were. We do have the USC Colorado game that was pretty good. The Duke and Notre Dame was pretty good. I did not get a chance to watch it. We have a upset or two. Utah finally loses for the first time in the season. They go down to Oregon State. That's actually where I'm going to start the episode. But also on the NFL side, we thought the Bills and Dolphins were going to be a lot more competitive. We didn't expect the Jets and the Chiefs to be as competitive. Justin Fields, he had a big day, and the Eagles survive a division matchup that was pretty stellar and showed that the Commanders may be a playoff team this season, even though they were throttled last week by my Bills. But like I said, it's the Kicking It Dolo podcast. Y'all know what we do. Y'all know how we do. So without further ado, let's get into the episode, man. Yeah. I can see the whole world sitting in my hand, amazing views. We finna break the rules, and we gon' make them too. I can't fall asleep, I gotta stand tall, that's what a leader do. Follow me, I'm leading you. Hey, we finna turn up, crank up the heat, and they finna burn up. Told them I'm coming, I'm here, tell them they time up. I said it once, I'ma say it again, this will be my year. I ain't gon' show no fear, I know that I'm built to equip for what God want me to do. I'm number one, not the two, it don't know where I'ma lose. So we back, and like I said, the weekend, man, it's kind of hard. It's gonna be a lot of me rambling because the games in themselves wasn't, like I said earlier, wasn't really to the standard I set for the weekend. I thought it was gonna be a pretty big weekend. I thought the weekend that transpired this week, as far as like games not being really close, I thought it was going to happen maybe last weekend or the weekend before. But last weekend, I believe a lot of the games were close. So this weekend, yeah, put me on a swivel and kind of dumped me from my head a little bit. But already know how we do. We're gonna go ahead and talk about two college football games. Like I said, Utah loses to Oregon State 21-7. DJ Ungavale, I think I finally might have said it halfway right that time. 14-25 for 204 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Martinez had 16 carries for 65 yards, one touchdown. Bowden had 6 receptions for 100 yards and one touchdown. Nate Johnson, 8 of 23 for 101 yards, one touchdown. Glover had 16 carries for 58 yards. And Yasmin, I hope I'm saying that correctly, 3 receptions for 59 yards and a touchdown. This is a game I really did not find out about until like after halftime. So basically, I watched basically from the third quarter on, and it was really hard for Utah to move the ball basically, and they would move the ball to get in striking distance. But ultimately, they didn't come up with points until the fourth quarter. I'm glad to actually see that they did put a touchdown on the board versus being completely skunked. But at the time, Utah was, I believe, either the 10th team. They were either the ninth or the 10th team right. They were right behind Oregon. And Oregon was 9, right? Yeah, Oregon was 9. So that had to make Utah 10. Oregon State was 19. They came off a loss last week to Washington State. And they were a sneaky good team in the Pac-12. Of course, we have the Washingtons and the USCs and the Oregons of the world. And the Utahs, if you want to throw them in there as well. But at the same time, Oregon State was a team that was slowly, like they weren't too far off from the rest of the teams. Granted, they may not have had the same type of competition, put up the same type of style points, things that the ranking system and ranking committee look at. But at the same time, they were undefeated and they were winning football games. So to come out, lose last week in the manner in which they did, I believe they only lost by like maybe 8, 9 points at most. To come back and bounce back and beat one of the top 4 ranked teams in your conference, you can say, because this is the Pac-12's final season, farewell season, as you may, their farewell tour, Kobe tour. But yeah, man, Oregon State is definitely trying to put their hat in there. If they can keep up with the way they've been playing and run the table the rest of the way, that final regular season game against Oregon is going to probably be a big test for them and can really help them possibly make it to the Pac-12 championship game. But we're going to stay in the Pac-12. We're going to move right along. USC survives a late rally from Colorado. The score ended up being 48-1. Caleb Williams with 30 of 40
for 403 yards. He had a career high, tied a career high, 6 touchdown passes, 1 interception. Lloyd is a beast. 13 carries for 84 yards, 1 touchdown. Washington, also one of their top receivers, 8 receptions for 117 yards and 1 touchdown. Shadur Sanders, 30 of 45 for 371, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Hankerson had 16 carries for 74 yards and a touchdown. And Miller, kind of an unsung hero in this game. Didn't really get a lot. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say USC went up 28-7, 28-14, somewhere along those lines. So, it was good to see Miller get some tick, but he had 7 receptions for 196 yards and 1 touchdown. But back to my previous point, at the beginning, USC basically, they had the game. Like, they could have really put this game away. It could have easily been 42-7 going into halftime. Easily 42-7 or 35-7 or, but they weren't. It was just like both teams have a lackluster defense. We already seen how Colorado defense performs, and given the fact of how spectacular Caleb Williams is in itself and the weapons that he has around him on offense, it kind of overshadowed how the defense looked for USC. But at the same time, they were the Arizonas and the Stanfords, they were beating up on them. So, but those are not really too much the best teams within the Pac-12. It's going to, now, when they play Oregon, when they play Washington, how are they going to look, now? Because Colorado basically showed that, we got threats by Oregon, but we could compete. Any given Saturday, we could compete. Last Saturday, they would just, we got steamrolled, and that just happens in the world of sports. But at the same time, like, they fought, they didn't give up. They could have easily rolled over and just let this be a similar score to what it was last week when they played Oregon. It could have easily been 48-7, 48-10, 48-14, or whatever the case may be. But they fought back and made it a game. Of course, USC ultimately sealing the victory from them. But it's very concerning because, like I said, when you play Washington and when you play Oregon, teams with a little bit better defense. And, I wouldn't say they have a better offense. I think it's more sound, more refined, and that, everybody knows what they're going to do. How their defense is going to hold up, too, against, offenses like Oregon and Washington, who they play. And Oregon we play Washington, I want to say not this Saturday because I think we have a bye this Saturday. But I believe next Saturday, Oregon and Washington play each other. So that's going to be a real good matchup. Two of the top teams in the Pac-12. Might be game of the year depending on how it goes. It's a possibility that this could have been game of the year, but it just didn't get off to the best start for Colorado. So they just have to find, the offensive line has to hold up, give Shadur Sanders some more time to, read and react and see the field better. The defense has to stop somebody. They have to get off the field on third down. They have to force long third downs, and they were 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s. I think it might have been even the 3rd and 14 in there. If you want to be seen as one of the top programs in the country, at least collegiately, and even in the NFL, this also goes to the NFL as well, you have to be able to get off the field on third down. You cannot let people convert 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 14s. When you have teams, basically against the sticks, you have to get off the field. You have to. Now, they did force Caleb Williams to, throw his first interception of the season, so that's something to hang their hat on, and that's another thing they have to work on as well. They have to force turnovers. You got to force turnovers. Especially if it's hard for you to get off the field on third down, you have to, something has to give. You have to do both exceptionally well or do at least one to give yourself a better chance of winning. So it's going to be real interesting to see how Dion, rallies the troops per se. And, we'll see who their next opponent is. I'm not really sure who the next opponent is. It's kind of foggy in my memory right now, but maybe I'll drop an episode maybe Thursday or Friday, and we'll talk about it and get into it if they play this week, because I know a couple teams. I think I believe Texas and Ohio State was idle this week, or it could have been Texas, or was it Texas and Florida State? No, Ohio State and Florida State. I believe they were idle. Bye week per se. That's what they call it in college. They call it idle. So let's get to some NBA trade talk, man. Y'all know me. I love the NBA. Football is cool and all. Don't get me wrong, I love some football, but NBA, that's my thing, man. That's what I love to watch more than anything else in the world, just basketball, man. I love basketball. We have two extremely huge trades. One, Dame has finally been dealt to the Bucks. Him teaming up with Giannis. Now, of course, the Bucks in the 3-team trade, Bucks, Suns, Blazers. Drew Holiday goes to the Blazers. DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Milwaukee's 29 pick unprotected. Milwaukee and pick swaps with Milwaukee in 28 and 30, both unprotected. And then the Suns receive Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nazir Little, and Keon Johnson. And of course, the Bucks get Dame. So I want to talk about that trade specifically for a second or for a couple minutes. Giannis was telling the front office that, basically, what I'm saying, y'all got to put me in position to win. And then if y'all don't, then, what I'm saying, I don't see myself staying here because I want to be a winner at the end of the day. What you say to light a fire under the front office because you want to stay. And I believe Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee. Don't get me wrong. He's already won a championship there. And, he's grown a cut. He's been there since he was a rookie. He was drafted there, came up there, when he was coached by Jason Kidd, who really put the ball in his hand a lot. And somebody he's very fond of. But now I believe, who is their coach now? That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I really just think he likes the camaraderie, the guys in there. Now I heard they didn't consult him when they made the Dame trade. I believe this is one of those trades where you really don't have to consult Giannis. Do I believe him and Drew Holiday build a bond and a brothership and a camaraderie? Yes, of course. You win a championship with a guy, you go to battle with a guy, you become accustomed to him. He's been a part of your team for the last 3, maybe 4 seasons. You build a special type of bond. But this definitely, helps the Bucks. You have to sacrifice something. You can't just get a player the level of Dame without giving up something. You have to give up something. Unfortunately, Drew was just something that they have to give up. The picks, I'm not really too sure, They could have probably, bundled the pick somewhere and did something, but it was way better than what the Miami Heat had, at least in their opinion. And the reason why they were good to take the trade. And, instead of just, of course they want to be preferably traded to the Heat, but Portland at the same time, you do have to look out for yourself sometimes. So they was like, we'll trade you to a situation where you can win, which they did. They did send Dame somewhere where he can win. It's a possibility for him. He has a way better chance of winning in Milwaukee, teamed up with Giannis along with Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton and Bobby Porter's coming off the bench. He has a better chance of winning there than he did in Portland. So they did him a favor. Was it the specific team that he wanted to go to? No. But, nonetheless. But what they got back from Drew Holiday was way more valuable than what they thought they could get from Tyler Hero. Because 9 times out of 10, the Blazers are in rebuild mode. 10 times out of 10, actually. So what they got back, depending on the type of player they got back, is real eye-opening. Let me say that. It was real eye-opening to see what they did because they took Drew Holiday and they spun him for more compensation. They traded him to the Celtics, and in turn they got back Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, Golden State's first-round pick in 24 and 29. 24 and 29, and I think they got the 1 and 29 is unprotected. So, and then the 1 and 24 I think is top 4 protected if I'm not mistaken. So, essentially, they got Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara. They got a pick in 24. They have 2 picks in 29. And they have a pick swap in 28 and 30. So, basically, you just got, 5 picks and 3, 4 players? 3 players. Because you got Ayton. You got Ayton, Brogdon, and Williams. Yeah, Ayton, Brogdon, and Williams. And you got 4 or 5. That's good for Dame. If that's the ultimate thing for Dame, that's what you would expect. They really, they got their most from it, and they feel like if they would have got Tyler Hero, that wouldn't have been the same compensation. A lot of people know, if you're in tune with the NBA talk around the league. Not saying that I'm all the way in tune, but if you just listen around, you can kind of get an understanding that not a lot of teams are kind of high on Tyler Hero. If that was the case, I think Dame would already have been in Miami when he first requested at the beginning of free agency. But what I was thinking was Portland was probably just shopping around, see who else likes Tyler Hero, kind of how they did with Drew Holiday. And their phones ran off the hook. As soon as they got Drew Holiday and they knew that they were going to trade him, and it was known that they were going to be trading him, a lot of teams called. My Clippers called. Who else? The Sixers wanted him back. Miami wanted him since they didn't get Dame. You know what I'm saying? Boston. And it's just ultimately being Boston who ended up trading Robert Williams, which is something I like Robert Williams a lot as far as like being a basketball player and things of that nature. Like I really like the paint presence he does and what he gives the Celtics on the back end as far as paint protection, rebounding, shot deterring shots, making it harder for people to score. You know what I'm saying? Just being a paint presence. You know what I'm saying? I like what he did, and him alongside Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Al Horford. You know, the Celtics had pretty good, not even had a top defense, maybe top 10 in the league. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a Celtics fan by any way. I'm a Clippers fan. But I kind of like how they were gelling together, the young guys. I kind of like how the team was structured and stuff like that. Now, of course, they lost Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. Basically, the head of their defensive snake and their back end, their anchor. So a lot's going to be resting on Al Horford. And Al Horford, he's up to the task. He's a savvy vet. But it's going to be a lot on him and, KP, Kristaps Porzingis, to really hold down the back end of the Celtics defense. Like, be paint protection and, deter shots, make sure it's not easy layups. Now, Kristaps, he can block shots. He has the length to block shots. I would like to see him put on maybe a tad bit more weight. Just a tad bit more weight to combat the Embiids and the Jokic's and the Anthony Davises. But at the same time, that's probably going to be Al Horford's job. He's more stout. He's not as tall as Kristaps because Kristaps is 7'1". But at the same time, it's just going to be hard for him to replicate, in my mind, in my opinion, what Robert Williams did for the Celtics. And I know they're going to miss him a lot, and they're going to miss Marcus Smart as well. But they did pick up Drew, which is like, I wouldn't say he's a better replacement. A lot of people, Drew's probably better on offensively. Like, they're similar probably defensively as far as, like, they were guarding basically 1 through 4, 1 through 3. Marcus Smart's were even guarding 5s. And I think Drew Holiday, he can hold his own a little bit against a 5, maybe for a couple seconds. I don't think you would naturally put him on a 5. But, yeah, at the same time, yeah, man, it's the Celtics, they trying to win. And they were right there. They were on the cusp of, winning 2 years ago when they made the finals. They were the cusp of making the finals again last season. Tatum doesn't roll his ankle in Game 7 against the Heat. It's a what-if thing. Like, who knows how that story really would have went. But it's going to be real interesting for the NBA to come back. A couple of preseason games starting to come on. I believe the first game is going to be on the either 7th or 8th. I think it's being played in Abu Dhabi. I think it's the Nets and the Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken. I think they play like not a back-to-back, but they're going to play 2 games over there for the fans. So that's real cool and interesting to see. But the NBA is back. The NBA is almost back. You know what I'm saying? Football cool, like I said, but I'm an NBA guy, man. I love the NBA. I love basketball. So let's get on to the NFL portion of the episode. We're already 19 minutes in, so yeah, let's get into these NFL games. We have to talk about my Bills, though, man. Everybody's game of the weekend. I really didn't expect the game to go the way in which it did. Now, how it went for maybe the first 5 or 6 drives, yes, the teams were literally going back and forth. Buffalo scored a touchdown, Miami answered. Buffalo scored another touchdown, Miami answered again. Buffalo scored another touchdown. Then they forced Miami to punt. It's like as time went on, Buffalo was starting to figure out the type of things that Miami wanted to do and starting to see things, and they just, they got settled in. They were doing a lot of play action, a lot of motion, just a lot of trickeration, just getting their guys the ball. In Buffalo, the type of speed that the team was displaying on Sunday is something that I very commend, the type of discipline. Everybody stayed home for the most part. It wasn't no huge plays. Now, I believe it may have been, I think their longest play was 26 yards? And that's a huge, that's a decent play. But there wasn't no 40-yard plays, 50-yard plays, 60-yard plays. I commend the defense for that. Of course, Tre'Davious White ended up tearing his Achilles, I want to say in the third quarter, late third quarter, yes. Him and Micah Hyde were double teaming basically Tyreek Hill. You could basically tell by the way he looked at his foot. It looked like somebody stepped on it. And as a guy who's been watching sports for a pretty long time, not a doctor or anything like that, I've heard, and it's been explained to me that a lot of Achilles injuries, it feel like somebody stepped on your foot. So when he looked and see, did somebody step on me? And then he pulled his foot out forward and looked in front of it, looked at the back of his foot. It just looked, he just felt like somebody stepped on it. And then, he was down on the ground. I see him try to stand up and walk. It wasn't walking. And then the broadcast, they showed, the replay of him basically initially going down before he tried to stand up. And basically, I could just tell that his season was over with, man. You know what I'm saying? basically by the way he flung his helmet backwards. Like, he already knew something was terribly, terribly wrong. And being a football player, you've probably had a couple of injuries before, so he probably already knew it had something to do. He already knew his Achilles was messed up in some type of way, torn, ruptured, whatever. So it's real. Yeah, we won, but it kind of takes away from the win a little bit, just a little bit, to know that our best cornerback is out. We already had Poyer out with a knee injury. Benford suffered, I think, maybe a stinger or something throughout the game. Micah Hyde went to the tent for a little while, so it was kind of scary. Even Matt Milano looked like, I just got my fault, y'all. I just got a notification on my computer, so it just scared the mess out of me. So, yeah, man, it was real hard. And I like how we played the team. You know, the Dolphins, you know, they're a divisional opponent. They just came off 70 points, and a lot of teams were saying, oh, this is going to be a high-scoring game. How many points can they put on the Bills? And then Tyreek Hill kind of added fuel to the fire, basically saying, like, we expect it to be like any other home stadium, any other away game they played. Like, Highmark Stadium was rocking. You would think it was a Kiss concert going on over there, man. Like, and I'm not a fan of rock or heavy metal or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really too much into that. But at the same time, like, it was loud, man. It was real loud, and it was quite ironic, actually, because it was a play where they were too loud, and guess who got a false start? Tyreek Hill. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to say that again, or if he does, he's going to word it in a way to where it's not used as fuel. But yeah, my Bills, man, 48-20. We lead the league in sacks, lead the league in takeaways. Pretty good, man, pretty good. Josh Allen, 21-25, 320, 4 touchdowns. 4 carries for 17 yards and also a rushing touchdown. Latavius Murray for 4 carries for 32 yards. My boy Diggs, Stone Cold Diggs with the beer. He was turd. Man. 6 receptions for 120 yards, 3 tutties. So basically every other time he caught the ball, went for a touchdown. Gabe Davis, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't left out, getting things started. 3 receptions, 61 yards and a touchdown. Tua wasn't a bad day. He didn't have a bad day. 25 of 35 for 282, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A-Chain. I dropped the short where I called him Acne, and, somebody corrected me on that. So if you're listening to this, bro, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I do not mind being criticized. If I mispronounce a player's name, you know what I'm saying, and y'all know how to properly pronounce it, respectfully, let me know. I'm trying to bring the content that y'all, you know what I'm saying, that y'all want to see, and I might be talking about your favorite team on the episode. I don't want to mispronounce, you know what I'm saying, nobody's name. I don't want nobody mispronouncing my name. But it looked like Acne, so I said Acne. But it's A-Chain. I got it. I'm going to put some respect on his name. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. He had 8 carries for 101 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill didn't have the big game that we expected him to have, or possibly 3 receptions for 58 yards. But something that Tony Romo brought to my attention during the podcast, not the podcast, but during the broadcast, excuse me, the Bills seem to play the Dolphins a different way. There's a lot of bump and run, basically, like, not bump and run, but like a lot of press coverage, a lot of just, putting their hands on them, being physical with them. And that's what they were doing with Tyreek. Did Tyreek still have some big plays and some key plays? Yes. It's Tyreek Hill. You're not going to be able to completely shut him down. He's going to get the ball. And they even got to a point where they had to just give it to him on jet sweep. And he went for maybe 13, 14 yards. So Waddle had just came back into the fold. So it was nice to see him back out there. Mostert was still getting touches as well. But the Dolphins, you know what I'm saying, they'll see us again at the end of the season. I want to say week 18 we'll play them again. But this is still a good football team, like Josh Allen said, and they hit you with the emoji, you know what I'm saying? Or is it this way? Hit you with the... Because I guess Dolphin players were wearing shirts thinking about how many points they could put up, which is quite interesting. NFL players, they keep receipts and they're petty, man. So, yeah. I think this should be the thumbnail. Probably not, though. I'm probably going to put Josh Allen doing it, but... Very, very intriguing. But, yeah. We're going to see. Man. But let's go to the next game. The Eagles survived the Commanders. The Commanders tried to bounce back in a divisional game against the Eagles. One of the 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. They were thrashed last week by my Buffalo Bills. But they played good this week. Ultimately, They came up short in overtime. Jalen Hurts led the Eagles down the field. And, he just does what he do, win football games. He went 25-37 for 319, 2 touchdowns. Swift had 14 carries for 56 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown had 9 receptions for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sam Howell, 29 of 41 for 290, 1 touchdown. Brian Robertson Jr., 14 carries, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. McLaurin, Scary Terry, 8 receptions for 86 yards. Yeah, man, it was a pretty good game. At first, the Commanders went up 14-7, if I'm not mistaken, in the first quarter, or at least the first half. And it's not a game that I watched till very late. I did not watch it until late. Maybe like the last drive. I probably caught this game during the last drive of the game. Like all the 1 o'clock games, were pretty decent. Were pretty good. I think all the games we're going to talk about were 1 o'clock games. Yeah. The next 2 games, yeah. Well, nah. The Sunday night game. Last night's game, I'm not even going to even talk about that monstrosity that was put together by the Giants. I don't know, man. Something got changed around there, man. Like they got to do something. Somebody needs to be either replaced or traded or something, bro. They got to do something around there, bro, because it's looking pretty abysmal around there. But let's get back to the Eagles and the Commanders. But yeah, man. They were looking good. Like I said, they were throttled. They were throttled last week by the Buffalo Bills, and they have a pretty good defense. And it was a division game. Teams, in my opinion, play division games a little bit more harder, a little bit more tougher. It's a little bit more stank on it, if you will. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit more. It's a rivalry, not per se, but this is division. Like we want to crush everybody in the division. We want to beat everybody. But you want to crush the people in your division, and those are sometimes the most hard-fought games. A team could be undefeated. Let's say the Eagles could have been 11-0. I think they were 11-0 last year. Matter of fact, and the Commanders were the team to beat them. And Commanders probably only had maybe 3 wins, something like that. I don't think the Eagles went 11-0. They could have went like 9-0, 10-0, whatever the case may be. But yeah, the Commanders, made it to where the Eagles were not undefeated. They were the first team to beat them last season. So I should have known coming into this season that the Commanders kind of play the Eagles a little bit tough. This is one of the things where the teams that match up, it's a pretty good matchup, and it was. But like I said last week, the Commanders are still a pretty decent football team. They still possibly have a chance to make the playoffs. Sam Howell is young. I think he's only in his 2nd season. Hurts is in his 3rd, 4th season. So in the offense, they got things rolling over there in Philly, bro. The defense is basically mostly Georgia guys. Me and my friends, we have a little joke. We like to call them the Philadelphia Bulldogs. You know what I'm saying? Because of how many Georgia Bulldog players they have on their defense. And Nakobe Dean, I think he's still injured. I don't think he came back yet. But that's another key piece that they have. Another guy that they have that's out of Georgia. It's like they're taking all the guys from Georgia and just bringing them to Philly. And that works. Because all them guys could have played. All them guys that are playing in Georgia are, can play on Sunday. And they just all right, y'all, a lot of them guys played together, so they have a type of chemistry. They might spend 1 season apart, 2 seasons apart, something like that. But they're still Georgia guys, The concepts that they're running and how they grasp it, the type of talent that's coming out of there is just crazy. So hats off to the Commanders for, making the game reputable and, making the game interesting. They could have easily just came out after last week and just laid an egg, but they didn't. The next game we're going to talk about, the NFL mid-off, if you would say. Battle of the two. And I don't know if I would say mid. I wouldn't even say mid-off. What's worse than mid? Low-off? Yeah, you could say 2 of the worst teams in the league, the Bears and the Giants, played each other. Justin Fields had his big day spoiled. He went up 21 on the Broncos, and he was actually balling. I think he had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. I think he didn't have no interceptions until maybe the last play of the game, something like that. Last drive of the game for the Bears. He did have a costly fumble though that helped the Broncos tied up, but the defense, man, was horrendous. And I'm sorry if I'm just rambling on. It's just. They were that bad, bro. They were that bad, bro. Justin Fields went 28 of 35 for 355, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Herbert had 18 carries for 103 yards. DJ Moore, 8 receptions, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. Russell Wilson, 21 of 28, 233. 3 touchdowns, yeah. McLaughlin had 7 carries for 72 yards, and Jerry Jeudy had 3 receptions for 52 yards. But yeah, Justin Fields was balling. I think he had, like 250 yards? Yeah, I think he had 250 yards before halftime, 3 touchdowns, and I think he probably maybe only had like 2 or 3 incompletions. I was like, what? Justin Fields doing that? More than 200 yards passing in the first half, 3 touchdowns. Justin Fields had 3 touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, not total touchdowns. He had 3 passing touchdowns before halftime. He had 4 total. This was his first 300-yard game, I believe, in his NFL career. I know this was his first 4-touchdown passing game. And the Bears defense lost him the game. Now, did he fumble the ball when they needed the drive to ultimately go up possibly either 10 or whatever? Yes. Did he throw an interception at the end of the game? Yes. But at the same time, the Bears defense, y'all were spotted basically 21 points. And you just let Russell Wilson and them come down there and just score and score and score and score again and score again. And then they lose. And they didn't lose by a touchdown. It was 31-28, but still, you let them go down there, get a field goal range, and they won. If the defense just gets maybe 1 takeaway, 1 interception, maybe Justin Fields, maybe the best day that Justin Fields has had as an NFL quarterback is squandered and gone to waste. But no, the Bears, being the Bears, allow Russell Wilson and them to come back again. And this is, Russell Wilson and them, they got dismantled last week, destroyed. Whatever type of word or phrasing you want to put upon it. They were smacked last week, like smacked, bad. You know what I'm saying? So for you to let them come back this week after you've already had them in the, in the mud. Now the Commanders let them come back in week 1 and they only lost by 2 points. The Bears defense, they need to do something. They need to make some trades. I'm pretty sure my boy Tremaine Edmonds is over there. I'm pretty sure he's not happy. I know he wanted the money, but I think he probably thought his season would get off to a better start than this. They got to do something over there in Chicago, man. They got to do something. Broncos get their first win. It's good, but... And now we're going to go to the Sunday night game. We're already roughly 35 minutes in it. Let me pick my thing up. I'm just relaxed talking to y'all, man. Like, I kind of slouch a little bit when I'm relaxed. But at the same time, like, the Chiefs and the Jets was a heck of a game. Now, you could talk about the controversial call on Sauce Gardner, if you want to, excuse me. You can say it was on Zach Wilson to, he should have been a little bit better and they should have got started a little bit earlier, which they should have. Or, you know what I'm saying? You can say that there were some questionable calls, which there were. Either way, being called or not being called. But Zach Wilson did play a heck of a game. Ultimately, it didn't turn up into a victory, but, because it was unfortunate. The guy was playing good from the second quarter on. The first quarter was kind of It took him a little while for him to get rolling. But once he got rolling, he got rolling. He went 28 of 39, 245, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, so that's pretty good. Breece Hall had 6 carries for 56 yards. Allen Lazard had 3 receptions for 61 yards. Gary Wilson was getting the ball. Pat Mahomes, man, he kind of stunk it up. 18 of 30 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Could have been a 3rd interception, but they called was it pass interference or defensive holding? One of the two on Sauce Gardner. Towards the end, Pacheco, crazy, 20 carries. It's been a while since I seen him have 20 carries or, just one individual running back on the Chiefs. It's very rare you'll see them have 20 carries in the game. Maybe 10, 12, 15 max possibly, but 20 carries, 115 yards, and that just goes to show you that Mahomes wasn't on it that night. Just by how many carries Pacheco had, you could tell it wasn't a good night for Mahomes. Like I said, Pacheco, 20 carries, 115 yards, 1 touchdown. Travis Kelce did not find the end zone this game. 6 receptions for 60 yards. I know his boo was in attendance, and I know he wanted to do his thing. They ultimately end up picking up the victory. They showed Taylor Swift a lot during the game. And like I said, I understand there's a lot of people and the demographic that they're trying to appeal to, maybe the Taylor Swift fans who are not the most knowledgeable football fans, or maybe not the most loyal football fans. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. I wish they would tone it down just a tad. Like, it seems like they showed, like, throughout the game, bro, it seemed like they showed Taylor Swift at least, like, 6, 7, 8 times. And I understand maybe, like, 3, 4, but I think it's, like, 5, bro. It's just like, all right, bro, we know she there. We don't need to see her little reaction to everything. We know she's going to jump up and down when Kelce scores a touchdown or when the Chiefs score a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on, like, and I don't want to seem like I'm a hater or anything, bro. I really don't. But we're here to watch football, bro. Like Taylor Swift, there is cool. Like I said, you can pan to her once a quarter, and maybe once during halftime. But you don't have to show her that much, bro. You don't have to show her that much. Like I said, I don't want to seem like I'm hating or anything, but it's just like, I just need y'all to tone it down a little bit. The Jets have, and I was listening to the Jets post game, the night of the game, and also, the day after yesterday. I was going to drop yesterday, but, some things happened. Not really going to too much get into that, but I'm here today. And my mind was still kind of foggy, so, excuse me if I got off track a little bit during the episode. But, yeah, man. Yeah, it's really, really good to see the Jets, have success on offense finally, feel like they got some momentum as a team. Like, it wasn't just like the coach. The whole team feels like they can take what they did this week, but the good things from it, and just move forward and hopefully stack some wins together. And the Chiefs, they got to do something. I think it's Jawan Johnson. Is he the left tackle? I want to say he's the left tackle, left guard. They may have to do a lineman change. They may have to sit him out and make him, take him out the starting lineup, and find somebody else, because it's cost him so many yards on penalties, like so many yards, so many yards, bro. So yeah, this is already a 40-minute episode. I'm just go ahead and end it on that note. Like I said, this has been your boy Dolo J of the Kicking It Dolo podcast. Y'all know what we do and how we do. So without further ado, I'll catch y'all next time, man.
Turn up the headphones a little bit. Crazy. Hey.